Welcome to the Newbie Club Festival Edition, where we highlight the top 10 finalists from Nukhufest. I'm Sanjay, the founder of Nuku, and I'm joined by another top finalist, Esther Casas Roura, the director of a short film titled Flocky. How are you doing today, Esther?
I'm good. Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited. We're finalists. It's great
It's
to be here.
fun. It's fun. Yeah, there's a lot of interest in your film. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
So, Flocky is an allegory of pregnancy loss. I lost my first child on latest stages of pregnancy in 2015, and that was extremely hard. But it was mostly extremely silent, and so after this tragedy and experience, I didn't know what to do with it. And because I just tell stories, I make films. I was like, why I don't put it on a big screen? Because what I really wanted was, besides making films on this particular personal story, was to actually tell the story that I was not able to tell, because this a taboo topic in society, that when you try to talk about your experience and you try to explain it, people feel so uncomfortable, and also they don't have any feedback for you. They have no idea what to say, that there's no room for it. There's no dialogue. So you just feel that you have to close your mouth and just keep it to yourself. So that was terrible. It was making the experience even worse. So the aftermath is silence. So I was like, okay, let's make a film and let's talk about it, like here today. And when people watch the Flocky festivals, I feel that is opening the space that people need for this, right? To share experience and open dialogue.
That's an incredible inspiration. I mean, I'm sorry that that happened, and
Thank you.
it's amazing that you've been able to process that into this beautiful short film and animation. I'm curious. Did you animate it or like have any kind of role in that process, or did you work with animators?
I was the director of everything, but I also had an animator supervisor, and we had more than 50 people working on this film. So I had a big crew. Animators were more than 30 something. There was like 10 major principal main animators, and the rest will follow their style and will try to, assistants and everything else. So yeah, a lot of talented people made it happen.
It shows. It certainly shows. It's beautiful. I mean, the imagination of the characters, the kind of hyper magical realism that's portrayed, I think it really is shown through the talent that you were able to bring onto the project. I'm curious,
Right.
with so many different people on the project, what would you say some of the challenges were you faced while making it?
So the first challenge was that I started this during the pandemic. That means I had to switch my style. First, I wanted to do stop motion. Obviously, pandemic, impossible with hands is the last thing you want to do. So I decided to do traditional animation. What happened was I never done traditional animation myself. So I was like, how am I going to direct a team with traditional animation? So I just dive in, and that was a challenge to be a director. You need to know what they are able to do. So while I was starting, I was learning with, the first person, the second person. And by the time that I got, my head around it, so I could actually direct much better, technically and also stylish. So that was one. And two, direct remotely is extremely difficult, even if it's animation, because you need to transmit everything from the feeling of the scene to, it's animation, so you have to act it. So I was recording myself, sending the videos, and time differences with many countries in the world that we worked on. So it made the thing a little bit delayed sometimes. It was all these things of working everyone separate, but I made it happen. I'm also a producer, so I was like producing with my head very straight that I have also. I come from science. Sometimes I'm the most serious person in the room when it comes to animation. So I think that what gives me the skill to be able to produce a film like that.
Unbelievable. I mean, I'm sure you didn't sleep a lot either, having to work
No,
across so many different time
it
zones.
was hard. It was hard. It was
And
hard.
the score also is beautiful too.
Mm.
Did you work with composers from different parts of the world as well?
Yes. I actually work with one. It's called Phil Servati. People can check him out. because he's super talented. And we work remote also. He's not in New York, but he's in the US. So we were able to work together on the melody. I gave him a lot of references. So we were back and forth of what instruments should we use for this melody, what getting his head around. And it was beautiful. We worked on it from 7 to 8 months. It was a long process because Flocky doesn't have dialogues. The music is the dialogue, right? So for me, it was extremely important, and each scene needed to have its own melody, and the general one, but also in each moment for me was super important to actually feel what's happening with the music all the time and help him being alive also because it's animation, and also Phil already understood how I work because he made the soundtrack of my previous film, so we know each other and he knows what I like, and that was pretty smooth.
That's great. Always an opportunity to continue working with past collaborators.
Yes, exactly.
So, in terms of your approach or style as a director, as a filmmaker, how would you characterize it? And, what would you say you take your influences from that inspired you?
It's interesting because a lot of people think I talk about animation when I say that, but I don't get inspired with. My main influences are actually not cinema. I get influenced by whatever I see in real life and what I feel. And I didn't study animation. I didn't study filmmaking. I'm self-taught. That means like everything inspires me because I could switch from science to filmmaking just because I liked it. So this is part of my personality. I didn't do traditional animation and then I started doing it. And then I was starting after that watching more traditional animation. You know what I mean? It's like aftermath of me immersing myself in things that I'm interested. But what I can say is, for example, I get inspired by editors. Like there's this editor that is Chris King, for example, that he's my main number one inspiration in film. And it's because when I watch films that he edited, he always surprises me, meaning storytelling. Like I watch Senna, which is this, I'm not interested in cars. I'm not interested in racings. This is a racing guy that dies, right? So if somebody tells you this film is about this, I will never go and watch it. Accidentally, I did watch it. And it was one of the films that really marked like in my career
Wow.
because it was such a big surprise. This guy just took a bunch of footage and just did a beautiful story of a person that you actually really like and has nothing to do with racing cars, right? Car racing. But you still get like so attached to this person, like you cry when this person cries. So that's one of my main goals, right? Like whenever you do something, just push it, really push it, and maybe you find something different, and maybe you surprise yourself, or maybe you surprise the audience. But that's kind of the personality of somebody behind the camera that I really, really like.
That's beautiful, especially learning about how to take sensitive subject matter and really put your audience in a place where they can feel it and understand and emote. I think is challenge, but having influences that help get you there is
Yeah.
beautiful. I'm
Mhm.
curious, after having made such a challenging film, would you say that you've changed at all as a person or a filmmaker, or maybe you can tell us something that you've learned after having gone through the experience?
Yes, I did learn that if you don't write or if you don't feel the truth, your truth, you're not going to get there. Like you're not really going to succeed on what you want to say. So I did stories before and this was I think is my best piece, right? So far. And it's because, of course, I really felt it, but it's also because I really needed to tell it in a way that people actually feels it. Like it's very different to tell a story and you don't mind if people feel it or not. You do. And you're not thinking about the audience in that way. You're thinking about the audience in entertainment or something else or a beautiful thing. In animation, stories get lost in beautiful things. It's very easy because we do beautiful, amazing things. But I just want people to remember. And why do you remember something? Either, yes, because it's beautiful, but why do you really remember something? You're going to forget. There's so many beautiful things in the world. So if I made you feel one little second in your heart, that means you connected with what I was feeling. And that means I was telling, I was talking the truth, right? I was being true to myself and I was opening up in a way that I think it connects. with audiences. I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that there's definitely duality between the imagery you're seeing and the subject matter, the actual story that's being told, which makes it so powerful. And I would say, is there something specific that you want the audience to kind of take away, or are you open to what that is?
Well, the audience takeaway, yes, is basically stillbirth, right? My experience that people don't even know that exists sometimes. I didn't even know that this could happen. That's something that I want to put out there. Maybe you will learn something. And the other thing is that, for example, this little movie, right? And I say little because I'm going to tell you why I think from little to big, that cinema can go so much further than just the screen. You open up a dialogue, you touch people's hearts, you just make people like, so many people come to me and crying. But also Flocky went to Congress, to US Congress. I was invited to US Congress to advocate for laws to prevent stillbirth. And why I was
Wow.
invited? Because I made a film about my experience. And so it became a little bit more than a film. I would have never entered the US Congress otherwise. And also I was invited to CGI, which is Clinton Global Initiative from the Clintons. They meet with leaders in the world every September, end of September, in New York. So only leaders of the world are invited and people around these leaders. All of a sudden, I got there because I was creating action with my film because they saw I went to Congress and they advocate for maternal health. So all of a sudden I'm there advocating for maternal health, but because I made this film. Otherwise, with my experience, it was not enough for me to go there. So a takeaway is that for filmmakers that you can really go much further with your films, even if you don't believe you can. I was accidentally in these places that I would have never been invited otherwise, right? So I thank this legacy of my son for giving me all these opportunities that who knows where are going to lead me. So from after this experience, when making a new film now, I just wanted to go further because now I'm like, if I did this, like, come on, let's do it, right? Why not?
Wow. Wow. That is so inspiring. I think, it's amazing that you've had all of these different experiences across crafts, your background in science. I'm curious how you kind of see the landscape now in terms of opportunities for independent filmmakers.
I see. Actually, it's hard in straightforward. It's very hard in the US, obviously, now more than ever. I'm from Spain, so for me, my future is very expensive what I do. So my funding opportunities are all in Europe, not here. Also, I see. So I tell my colleagues like to open up the borders for now and just try to cooperate with European partners or other countries. Just because otherwise it's going to be super hard. At least when I talk to my colleagues in animation, because they can get you the money. And also, I feel like it's opening up borders AI. I'm totally up for it. There's a big debate about using it. I'm 100% on that side using it. And I think it's going to help us. It's just if you resist something you created, why do you create it in the first place? We make a lot of mistakes, but it's like we're so far already with AI that cannot really fight it anymore. It's just embrace it and try to use it for, as your best tool. So I see these two positive things happening. Yeah, at
That's a
least
good outlook.
I think so.
Yeah. I think, you can be afraid of the future, you can try to fight against it, but the future will continue to move forward with or without you. And
Yeah.
it really is kind of shifted and determined by the people that are proactive and help determine the direction.
And everything goes in cycles. So I'm sure we're gonna go back to do you remember when you do things with your hands and then all of a sudden a stop motion movie is like super hot, which is now already, but it's gonna happen again, and we just circle around. So,
Absolutely. I'm sure it'll still be in fashion at some point. Do you know what
yeah.
you're going to be working on next, your next project?
Yes, my next project, I have two. I have a feature film, but this feature film, it's been there for many years actually. I put it back on during, I put it in a closet during the pandemic. I did Flocky and then I took it back. And it's a feature, it's called Tao. It's a feature that blends my two backgrounds as a scientist and as a filmmaker. So it's a metaphor of a laboratory experiment that wants to eradicate cancer. So instead of, you see these scientists fighting the cancer of a patient, but in reality, what you see is an entertaining movie, an action movie about this immune cell fighting this enemy that is the cancer. So you see the war between two communities, because I always, when I was a scientist, I always saw that as real life, like invaders, they invade a town that is not supposed to be invaded, and then they just go around and metastases, right? So for me, always it's been the body is exactly the same as you see outside. It's just exactly the same structure. So what I'm telling is the story about what cancer is. It's educating a little bit the audiences and how important is science, because now it's under threat. So I think now it's a good time. And also entertaining people, and, they can learn something about this disease. That's the feature. And then I have short film, because the feature is a long process to raise money. So while is that happening, I'm writing a short film about the healing power of music. It's an animated film. Maybe I will use quill. I'm still thinking about the style. I never did it in my life, but doesn't matter. I will do it anyway. And it goes through different songs important in my life, and you see this arc of this person going up and down through life changes, life events, and challenges, and joyful moments through music. And you understand how music can save you, basically. That's what I'm trying to tell, at least.
Wow. Again, so smart, two powerful projects with incredible messaging. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Esther, and for your participation in Nukhufest.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course. Is there anything else that you wanted to add for our viewers before we wrap up? Your socials, where to get in touch with you, find you online?
Socials, yeah, sure. I have a work one which is called Claymaniac, with K and C at the beginning and K at the end. And then I have a Flocky short film in Instagram too, that they can see all the screenings we have. And we have many screenings this month and next month and until the end of the year. So, and I hope they can make it on the 27th, right? Is that the 27th?
That's right. We'll see you on Saturday the 27th at Nukhufest.
Great.
All right.
I hope to see you there.
So yes, you will. And be sure to watch and vote for Flocky on Nuku.com. Follow Esther to learn more about her upcoming projects. Thank you again, Esther. It was nice chatting with you, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye.